Okay, we can get this thing kicked off. Y'all rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Logan County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is January 31st, 2018, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Item number 1 is meeting called to order by the chairman. We just did that. We did the flag salute. Any citizen desiring to be heard? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4, consideration and possible action on approving minutes for January 12th, 2018.
Make motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? We have a move and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, consideration and possible action on appointing Carl Kinney to Logan County Floodplain Board.
We have, on our Logan County Floodplain Board, we have 5 members. One of our members has retired from her position, which was Sylvia Oakes, so that left us with a vacant slot. Carl Kinney has expressed interest. There were ads ran in the Guthrie paper on January 2nd, 16th, 20th, and 23rd. And he is the only applicant that I have a form for. So I would ask for your support.
Did you fill out an application?
He did.
I ain't seen it.
I forgot to send it to you, so. Oh, wrong one. You want that one? Let's look at mine, or I'll give you a
We
copy.
all get one?
I just, because you'll want one.
Yeah, give me a copy, I'll put it in the folder.
I'll make sure you get it.
Okay.
So what's the folks that sit on the floodplain board, what are their duties?
What do they assist me in if I get a phone call from the public about something that somebody may be concerned about. I typically get a couple of our floodplain board members to go out with me. We have floodplain board meetings, and so if there's a application for a project that's in the floodplain, it should have a application done with it.
What
So-
about people in a housing addition that complain about another housing addition going on and dumping all their water into their area? And
That new housing addition is not in the floodplain, so we only can control what's in, or try to control what's in the floodplain.
But the older housing addition does have a floodplain area management in it.
There's a small area, but I can't go to
They
the
say
people
it
across the
fills,
street.
they say it fills up because of, so you're out.
I can't go across the street and tell the folks outside the floodplain, you have to do X, Y, and Z.
Shows a lot of intelligence on your part not to get involved in that.
Yeah, we can't do anything. If we go outside our floodplain jurisdiction.
Okay,
then
the
there's
appointment
some
of
issues.
Carl Kinney,
I'll move with approve.
Also.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Number 6, consideration and possible action on reappointing George McIntosh?
Mactoff. Yes, sir.
Okay. To the Logan County Floodplain Board.
And I apologize, I don't have an application from him. He's been on the board now. His term is up this year, and I just assumed since we're doing Carl's, I would just go ahead. He has expressed interest in continuing to stay on our floodplain board.
How long has he been on?
He's been on about 10 years, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
give or take. But we have no other applications when we took applications. And his term is up this year, and like I said, he's expressed interest on continuing.
Entertain the motion.
Second. Oh.
I will entertain.
I'll make the motion, sorry.
I've got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Did we put this on our website?
I'm not sure if it was on the website.
I would like to, from now on.
Okay, we can make sure and do that. It was in the Guthrie paper. There was a couple of hiccups on getting it in the Guthrie paper, but it was in there 4 times. But I'll make sure we get it on the website. Sorry.
So Mike, you made a motion, I'll second.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? I have a move and a second. No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Item 7, consideration and possible action on awarding sealed bid for rock hauling tables from January 12th, 2018. I'm trying to run through these quick here. Play sometime.
Yeah, I keep blabbing on.
No. All good stuff.
I don't know what it is. I didn't, I was going with, I think it's Qualpol out of Drummer.
Just for me trying to keep things straight, do you mind if I take you by district?
You got a copy of it?
I have the,
So I can look at it.
I have the bids, and I don't have multiple copies of sheets because you all
I can
got
just see
them.
one sheet,
Yeah,
that's all I need.
To be quite honest with you, I forgot it was on the agenda and I didn't bring my sheet.
I want to make sure I get
Okay,
it right.
so here's District 1, if you would pass that down. District 2. District 3. And then I have this one copy of picked up. All the districts, of course, are on one pickups. So.
Well, this is gonna be a difficult decision. Brown Transportation's the only vendor.
That's what about pickup?
Yeah, that's.
Isn't,
Didn't we already do this?
yeah, here's pickup right here. Those are hauled in.
Yeah, I would've got Brown Transportation.
I think they're probably, yeah.
That's the only bids.
Yeah.
Taking Brown Transportation by right?
I believe
For
I will.
delivery.
I believe I will too.
Just Brown?
No, it's Brown Transportation. That's what signifies it from the others.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
That's
they're the
what we've
only-
been with all along,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah,
that's
well,
what we've
we've
been
gotten
with.
good stead out of it. We'll stay with that.
For pickup.
Uh-huh.
I mean, for delivery.
For delivery. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna pick up in Cushing. And, for Crusher Run, it's closer, we can get more, and it's still good rock. And so
Okay, when
we're
you
gonna
say-
do that, and then, I'm sorry?
When you say Cushing, what company do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, Stewartstone, out of Cushing. And then we're gonna go for TDSC, from, Perry, from Pawnee, Pawnee, I'm sorry, Pawnee City.
Okay, let me back this up.
There you go.
Mike, since you went ahead and started, let me finish, let me do
I'm
you.
sorry, I
That-
apologize.
No, that's fine, I'm just trying to, so I have it straight.
Okay.
Okay, so for pickup,
Mhm.
of everything except TBSC, you're going with Stewart out of Cushing.
That's correct.
And TBSC was Quapaw
Yeah, out of Pawnee.
out of Pawnee. Is there anything else?
Okay.
Okay.
Ready for District 3?
Yeah.
It'd be Stewart out of Cushing, $11 a ton, picked up. Brown Transportation, delivery.
Okay. And that's for all product, Monty, for
Yes,
Stewart? Okay.
Same.
Stewart for everything,
Oh, yes, for
for
pickup.
pickup?
Yeah,
And that would be Cushing?
yes.
And Brown Transportation for delivery is the only
Yes, ma'am.
bid? All right.
I'll move that, that's our motion, how you wanna do it?
Entertain a motion. Do you have a motion? Need a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Item 8, consideration possible action on signing certificates of filing for the 2018 Free Fair Board annual election canceled as only one candidate filed for each district position.
And those filing are Jerry Brooks representing District 1, Matthew Cook representing District 2, and Roland Taylor for District 3.
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Number 9, consideration possible action on acknowledging receipt of 2018 Election Board Administration and Registration Report. Excuse me. Tongue got from my IT.
So the election board annually files the party registrations for Logan County and the state for the ending year. So these are for 2017, and they have to file them in our office, but I always put them to be acknowledged receipt by the board. And I've got signatures down on the bottom corner.
Entertain a motion.
I make a motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We have
Is that-
25,560.
Motion passes without exception. Number 10, consideration possible action on approving lease purchase agreement with Chief Fire and Safety Company Incorporated, E1 Commercial Plumber for Meridian Fire Department.
This is the replacement truck. Just to refresh your memory, Meridian had went out and bought a new truck and had it for a very short period of time when it was in a wreck and totaled out. Truck had to be rebuilt, so this is falling back to that completion of that. The lease is with Chief. It's being assigned over to Welch State Bank, which is normal protocol. They put $150,000 down, so the balance that their lease purchase is $180,332.40. The yellows are for the board. All the red tabs are for the chairman only.
Consider motion.
I'll make the motion.
You want to look at it first?
Nah, I was trying to wake you up.
Well, I don't mind. I don't mind making a second.
I'll
That's what
second
you're looking for.
Just,
I'm trying to make this move along.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Number 11, consideration of possible action concerning insurance claims with ACO for damages to county vehicles. I put this on the agenda, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. The sheriff had one that was sent to us, and I think we had one sent to us from District 2.
That's true. We had one that was wrecked.
And
No injuries.
so what I wanted to do, and I talked with Troy a little bit about this, but one of the things that we got wrote up for in our audits is having a good plan for managing risk, and what we've done is we saved a lot of money last year on our insurance payouts, but we ate all that. We went through that pretty heavy this last year. It was 2016 we saved money. And
Yeah.
in 2017 we went through it pretty hard.
Let me, if
Yeah.
I can, let me pass
Yeah,
this
go
out.
ahead.
I have spoke several times now with Jim and Dusty and gotten information from Dusty to send in so that I could have it here for you all today. In trying to understand the deductible fund, which is what became the issue, the deductible fund is, and Marvin, I don't mean, do you mind if I?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. So to explain the deductible fund, we are required to keep a fund of money with ACO, and that is what the deductibles, or anything leading up to the amount of the deductible is paid out when we make a claim. And so our deductible is $25,000 per accident. We have an ag stop of $125,000. That was increased from $75,000 2 years ago because of the amount of claims. So the ag stop amount would be 3 deductibles at 75. So once we hit our ag stop, then there's no more deductible. It all goes over to insurance. What I learned in talking to Dusty was that in the 15-16 year, we had so little claim and use of our deductible fund, they rolled $50,000 forward. So that, coupled with the 40 that we put in, left a $90,000 in the deductible fund. What has happened is we've had several very large claims come through and has depleted the deductible fund to $53,000. So that $50,000 they rolled forward for us that we didn't know about, we thought we had 40 there, is the only thing that kind of saved our heinies this year. However, we are currently holding one claim for over $13,000 for a sheriff's vehicle and one claim for over $8,000 on a District 2 vehicle that is going to come off this 53. So it's going to deplete it even worse. Here's the thing with the deductible fund. We have to keep that up, and that has typically been a general fund obligation when we pay the annual bill. And that means it's a huge hit to the county general budget when we have to make up the deductible funds. So in what I sent you, the one claim for the sheriff's office, and I'm not picking on you, Damon, I'm not trying to pick on you, has exceeded $25,000. So we've covered the $25,000 on that accident. And anything over any other further claims will go to insurance. Our deductibles covered on that claim. What Dusty has pointed out, and I just printed straight from the email that I received, is their concern at the other side is some of these accidents were at the fault of the county driver, not somebody else. And so that is something that he's hoping that can be addressed. Dusty also advised one of the things that is in here is he had written a little article that he put out that explains how the deductible fund works. He also said that several counties have gone to creating a policy, and he included a sample resolution, which I forgot to make a copy of, that would allow that, and it was voted on by all their elected officials, that if you have a claim, you will get the check and then basically pay it yourself and refund back into the deductible fund. And while that sounds good and at first I thought, well, we used to kind of cover some of these claims ourselves. You have departments that don't have ready cash available. And the reason I think of that is the assessor's office had a total loss on a vehicle a couple of years back, that I know they don't have that kind of money laying there to replace the vehicle and put the money back in the deductible fund. So, while it needs to be addressed in some form or fashion what to do, I'm not quite sure yet what would be the best option there. Part of this is also with tort claims. So I think when you get a hit mailbox that's $800 or what, maybe we need to look at the department covering that rather than pulling it out of the deductible fund type thing. What happens, and that I wanted to clarify with Dusty when I spoke with him yesterday, was we need to send all claims to ACO so they can adjudicate the legal responsibility. What happens is if we hit a mailbox, just as an example, District 2 hit a mailbox and you draw a PO and pay that mailbox, then if there is any lawsuits filed or anything, ACO will not defend them because we went out on our own. So what they say is you send them all to us like normal, and then you can issue payment to reimburse the deductible fund. And that still keeps it all under ACO for any legal claim that they may have to deal with at a later point, is how they'd like to see that work. So with that, unless I've just totally confused things even more.
No, actually, I'm good with what you just said.
Sure.
One of the things that I'd like to also kind of point out is that Troy kind of runs our human resources office for us. Not kind of, she does. That's where our HR department is. She just doesn't get recognized for it, or doesn't have a line item in the general fund for it. But that is done by the county clerk. So along those lines, as we are looking at ways to cut down the number of accidents, right? Make people more accountable for their actions, and also have the elected officials' offices more aware of what's going on. I think that we need to look at additional personnel policies, or policies that would go in our personnel handbook that would talk about accidents and the processes and procedures that we use to do that. Yeah, we pick on the sheriff a lot, but I tell you that law enforcement, that's just the nature of the business. They get in some pursuits sometimes, and they're the ones out driving around at 3 o'clock in the morning, and those rogue deer run out and attack their vehicles. That happens once in a while. But as far as our road districts, I think that we ought to look at that as well. We shouldn't just have an automatic depletion of our insurance fund without it being reviewed periodically. And then also, I think our accident policies need to be examined. For example, Sheriff, when your guys have an accident, you have certain procedures that you have in place for what happens after that,
Yes.
right? And those are the sorts of things that I think we need to enforce across the entire group of county employees, if you will. And so what I'd like to do is to have a county employee meeting where we go over this and talk about it, and then vote to change or update, get ideas from everybody on what to do and that sort of thing.
You mean county employee or county officer?
County officers, to change the county employee handbook to outline our processes and procedures that we're going to use in the future.
We have several items that are stacking up that need to go to a county officer meeting. I've kind of held off putting one together because there are several try to get it all while we're there. One of the things that I think we might need to consider is just even creation of a form that the department would file with the board, notifying them of the accident, and that there would be a draw on the deductible fund.
I like that.
I think that's kind of what's getting lost. The accident happens, and the phone at the department is picked up, and they're calling ACO directly. And Jim Doherty is trying hard to come back from their position and call the commissioner, whether it's the chairman or who, and say, hey, is it okay if we pay this out of the deductible fund? But that's really not ACO's position, or shouldn't be, to call us for that approval. I think that it needs to be a documented notification that would come back to the board. They can leave it in my basket and I bring it in here, or however we decide to do that. But I think on our side, we need to, and I will create a spreadsheet. This is just something that's not thought of before now, to track our use of the deductible fund. I think we need to be on top of that. Because what's going to happen is the 2 claims we have laying here is going to take that fund down to $30,000, and we have 6 months left in this fiscal year. And the makeup of that deductible fund comes out of next year's general fund budget. And so I think that financially we are in a very tight spot as far as the insurance and the deductible fund right now.
It's the board's job to manage that fund, and so.
Well, also, I think ACO ought to provide us a quarterly statement, where we're at on our deductibles.
Well, they'll ask. I don't know that they do that as policy,
They should.
I called and asked and got it right away.
Right. I think they'll send us anything we ask for, especially if they think we're trying to reduce.
They'll do the annual loss run statement when they set out for the bills.
Okay. So, let's see, says consideration and possible action. There's no, I don't think we're gonna have any action today. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, we have 2 claims laying here
Yes.
that
Mhm.
ACO is waiting to hear what to do with them.
Okay. Okay,
And so we have, and I gave you their copies, they're in your packet.
right.
We have an $8,000 claim for damage to a pickup at District 2. We have a $13,000+ claim for a vehicle for the sheriff's office that have not been processed.
Okay, if we could just kind of quickly in like 2 minutes get an overview of those accidents, and I think we'll have a
Your
vote on
packet
it.
had,
Right, I mean from.
oh, okay.
We got the two elected officials here that will have that. I mean, they know what's going on. Damon, what was your deal?
Is this Marcus's vehicle?
I think it was avoiding the animal.
Dodge Ram?
Let me look and tell you.
I'm pretty sure it is with that amount of damage. I'm sure it's him. Lieutenant Marcus Williams was on his way home, like 6 o'clock one morning, and encountered a deer, swerved into guardrail. And I believe that if it's our vehicles, we should pay our fair share of the deductible. I think that's only right.
Thank you, Dan. Mike?
Yeah, we were mining shale over in the shale pit there, and the pickup truck got parked too close to the reclaimer we were using. We were back in the tire. Basically folded in the driver's door. Still operable and all that, framed in your bed, we don't believe. So we believe that'll be the actual cost of it.
So we being the county were operating the reclaimer and hit a county vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just didn't realize it was parked there.
Well, we need to fix them, I mean.
Yeah.
Sure can't replace it for $13,000.
I sure can't replace my vehicle.
So if
for
we need a
$8,000.
motion, I make the motion, we approve to pay the claim.
So yeah, we will entertain a motion for payment. We had a motion,
Second.
second. Any other discussion?
I'd just like to we need to hurry up and have that officers meeting, and we'll kind of get some of this hammered out, how we're going to recoup the money.
So a motion and a second. Any opposed? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Item 12, consideration possible action to review draft cooperative agreement between the City of Guthrie, Logan County to approve adding an alternate public safety answering point, PSAP, capability to the Logan County Sheriff Dispatch Center. We're going to table this until the 15th because we don't have that draft ready yet. However, Damon and David and I met with the folks at Guthrie, City of Guthrie, and discussed this, and they're agreeable to take it to the City Council for their vote after we get it drafted and approved by our council. We plan to do that on the 15th. They have a meeting, was it on the 20th? That they'll review and go over that as well. Just real quick, the OU Health Science Center had equipment for a PSAP. They no longer are going to use that for budgetary reasons. OU's going through budget issues. So that came back to ACOG. They tried to give it to Piedmont. Piedmont doesn't have a 24/7 dispatch center, so we were next in line based on what Damon had talked about last year when we got the estimates where it was going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars for us to do this, and then we got sticker shock on it. So the equipment is free, and basically what happened last year, there was a 50-cent a month 911 fee on all mobile devices, and they raised that to 75 cents. Well, that has since caused the ACOG to they've got more money than they need to do this, several $1 million. So they're giving money back to the counties and to the PSAPs, and so we have talked with the City of Guthrie. They're getting back something around $83,000 in refunded. Now that's mobile devices throughout the whole county, not just in City of Guthrie, the city limits. So They've tentatively agreed to take to the city council to pay the $10,000 to terminate the circuits over the one-time fee for termination, which is around under $10,000 out of that $83,000, because it's kind of a windfall for them. They weren't expecting it. And then the ongoing circuit costs of somewhere around $4,000 a month will come out of the future funding of that. So the windfall, again, will pay for that, but still there will be an excess of somewhere around $50,000 a year that will come back to the PSAP after all those are paid for. So the upside is we have a 2-station PSAP over at the city of Guthrie right now. They operate for the county. And we will have a 2-station alternate PSAP over at the sheriff's office, where they'll be able to transfer calls back and forth, and amongst other PSAPs, for example, over to Stillwater or Kingfisher County. They can do that directly and get that information back and forth. It'll just make things a lot more efficient, and the calls will be answered quicker. So anyway, if we have any questions, I'll be happy to talk about those now, but we're going to table the actual review of the draft until the 15th.
I just think it's sad that they're overcharging people if they got millions of dollars they can't spend, and I think they ought to give it back to the people.
That was the legislature that did that, yes. And
I understand.
the folks at ACOG, they go, we didn't ask for the money, so.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree. If they're overcharging for a service, then they should not be they should give the money back to the people they're overcharging. Certainly agree with that. So we're, item 12 is tabled until the 15th without objection. Item 13, consideration and possible action in reviewing the official speed limits on County Road Simpson Lane and Ward Road. Again, I put this on, we've had an inquiry from the sheriff's office, as a matter of fact, from one of the deputies over there. We've got yellow signs that I inherited over there, yellow speed limit signs that say 35 and 25 and all sorts of stuff. And, it's my understanding that yellow signs are there to alert someone to an official speed limit change that's coming up that would be on a white speed limit sign. Is that kind of correct? Well, okay. So we really don't have, and when we've researched, gone back, Troy's done a great job, went back to 1898 and looked at all of the Board of Commissioner meetings, and there's been no official speed limit changes on that road since 1898. So we've never done anything officially as a board to change those limits from the county 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. So technically, the speed limit on Ward Road and Simpson Lane is 45 miles an hour. I think that at that intersection, that might be a little bit steep. So what I'd like to propose here is just short of the intersection and outside of that intersection, I'd like to get with the sheriff's office and establish a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit through that circle, that corner right through there. We cleared that corner this last year, so there's a better line of sight around there. So I think it'll support a 30-mile-an-hour through there. However, people are only, if they drive 30 miles an hour through there while there's ice on the road, they're going to go off the road. But under conditions, people are supposed to drive a little bit slower. So that's kind of what I would like to.
Did you research the law on that as to, that is, I guess, an urbanized area, so therefore I think you can go under 35, but I think the lowest that the county can do
30
is 35 in what? Non-urbanized area. And also, of course, the yellow signs, you are absolutely dead on, but it also holds liability, so that if they say, for instance, we're doing 45 miles an hour through that corner and they had an accident, they would have been exceeding those cautions and therefore would be getting a ticket for exceeding the conditions of the road. And so, I've used it both ways. And there's a lot of times when it needs to be white, so that it is ticketable if they go faster than that. But I just wanted to put that out there so it gives you a little pause and maybe a little more perspective. But yes, outside of the urbanized area, my research says we cannot go under 35 miles per hour. I'm done. So I'll make your motion.
For a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit sign through the curve.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we
Yes,
need a
ma'am.
resolution?
That was just my question. Those are usually always done by resolution.
So I would ask that the board tentatively approve the survey for us to go out and look at where to put the signs and to have the resolution. We got time to get that done before our next meeting, or do we need to do that on the 15th?
No, actually, I have not posted that agenda. I could get it on for Monday's meeting as a resolution to lower the speed limit. Generally, the way those resolutions read would be to lower the speed limit from this point to this point.
Right. I think we can probably get that figured out by then.
Okay, so do you really want to do maybe more of, this would be a no action until Monday and we'll approve a resolution?
Sure. Sounds good to me.
I would not know the yellow sign. Speed, I don't know that law, I guess. I always thought the yellow.
It's a
recommend.
007 secret double knot thing.
Yeah.
You don't, unless you got your decoder ring handy, you don't know those things.
Yeah, a lot of
So we're
people
gonna-
think the yellows are whites.
So we'll table item 13 till Monday. Okay. 14, consideration possible action on proposal of Civic Plus for creation and operation of a county website. This is something that I asked Troy to put on the agenda again. Troy has talked with these folks. These are the people that operate the website for the city of Guthrie. They do. I actually really like the city of Guthrie's website. They've got a lot of information on it, and it's there's a cost associated with all of this, of course. What I'd like to do is to chat about this a little bit. One of the things that I've noticed, there's no restriction on the amount of data we can store on there. There is a restriction on speed for circuits, right? But it's not anything unrealistic. The cost is at the back 2 pages of this, right? So they've got 2 proposals for cost. One is where we pay the upfront cost, the one-time reoccurring upfront, and then the second one is where it's split out over a 5-year period. Talking with Troy, we're unsure whether or not the law, the purchasing law, county purchasing law, will allow us to do the annual investment where it's split out over a 5-year period.
I don't see any gain for the county to do that. I'd rather just.
Okay, I understand that, but it also, when I ran the numbers, it was more expensive to do the.
I think you
the
need to
front.
check your numbers again.
I will do that. It was only about $500, but it was
Okay, see,
still.
because I came out the same.
Okay.
That's why I said we need to cross-check that.
Well, if it's the same, I mean, like I said, it wasn't but a couple $100 difference, so. So you'd rather do the upfront. We've got, what I'd like to do is get concurrence to have these people come in and chat with them about doing this. We really need to update our website because it's inadequate for our purposes. It takes a lot more time. We are restricted on the data we can store, the gross data we can store on it.
So is this reasonable? I mean,
Yeah.
have we priced with anybody else?
I can tell you that their annual at $2,425 It's almost half what they're charging the city of Guthrie. Now, the city of Guthrie's website would be much more extensive than this because they receive payments and utilities and things like that. So the 16,000 you're seeing is the first year. That includes the annual fee. So the build cost is really about 14 to get it up, and then the annual fee. If you figure that we're paying what we have now and receiving not much of anything, and I think it cost us $1,200 a year. I don't think this is out of line at all. This company is based in Kansas, and their entire business structure is government websites.
As far as web posting, I've seen a lot of them. Mine, this is certainly not out of line. As a matter of fact, it's about, the median charge for like services.
What, 16,000, do you have to bid it?
I'm gonna double check that. I don't know that this may fall under service, and it may fall under state contract. I haven't got that far yet. Sherry and I sat down and met with him before Christmas, just to kind of get an idea. And I can tell you my motivation for this, and that is, we're trying to get legislation changed that would lessen our publication costs. And part of the play for that is website for posting a lot of this stuff, so we don't have to pay to publish it. And so the push for that for me was, well, we need to have a website suitable and capable of putting all this stuff up on there and maintaining it up there, if that's kind of the tug that we're going to have with the legislators to let us out of paying publication costs. So
we'll say, if that bill comes through. We looked into this company about a year and a half ago, Civic Plus, and we were really impressed. We were wanting it for the District 2 website, but they weren't willing to go that small, so we had to just blow it off. So I'm real comfortable with Civic Plus coming.
What this would do would allow each of us to have our own website under this banner.
everyone will self-administer their page, put in their own information. I had a department come to me and mention just a few days ago, actually, what was going to be done about the website, the county website, because they were having issues getting things posted to the one that we have now. But this would be, everyone would administer their piece of this website.
Well, I can tell you, Civic Plus was there when I was there, and it's extremely user-friendly.
It's very.
Well, and they offer, full-time maintenance, 24-hour support.
Yep. Good outfit.
3 nines uptime as long as it's not in their maintenance scheduled window, and I need to figure out when that maintenance schedule window is, because they don't say. As long as their maintenance schedule window isn't the 8 hours of business time that, anyway. So we've got action on here. I would like to get some concurrence from the board that we do need to improve what we have now and move toward a website where we can satisfy the requirements that Troy talked about, if we can get the legislature to approve allowing us to publish on our website rather than paying for that.
Probably want another 75-cent fee on there.
Yeah. I would think
There you
so.
go.
But yeah, I don't have a problem with them coming in and talking to us. I might listen to them.
Okay, I think it's
So we want to schedule a meeting with Mr. May. He's the representative.
yes.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, whenever you can get in. We need to get something done before we get into next year's budget discussions and
How about
that
he
sort of
comes
thing.
in at the officers meeting, so.
Well, and that's what I was kind of looking at. Their timeline for development that they have in their proposal is really, from the way I'm reading it, it's about a 6 to 8 week to being launched, which would play really well for fiscal year for us to make that change.
So if we made the commitment, they start in 6 to 8 weeks, would they wait that long to get paid? I mean,
Well, I think that we can probably work with that.
Sorry, I gotta ask these questions.
Well, no, and I think we can work with that. As far as having the funds available for this expense right now, I think we do, but if we wanted to kind of lag it, you know, that's always an option. I was looking, just to point out, where is it? So, they have a timeline on page 12, if you'll notice, oh, and I need to stand corrected. Go live is an average of 16 weeks.
16, it says 4 months.
Yeah. Client gathers deliverables 2 to 4 weeks, kickoff, initial design meeting, design presentation, then training and you know, all of that. So it says a go live of approximately 16 weeks.
That's an average,
Yeah.
yeah. And hopefully we're smaller than that, it'll take us longer.
Protecting themselves probably.
They do a video training for staff as well in that, so.
Excellent.
I will see if I can coordinate to have the officers and him all here at the same time very quickly.
Sounds good.
If I understood that was what was being asked.
Yes, ma'am, I believe so. So we will table any action until we can get that done. Thank you. Item 15, notification to the board of receipt of quick claim deed received from Town of Meridian as settlement of Board of County Commissioners of Logan County versus Town of Meridian, CJ 2011-328.
Make a motion we approve.
Well, there's not an actionable item. This was done as a notification just to officially let the board know that I have received the quitclaim deed signed by the municipality of the Town of Meridian in settlement of the lawsuit that involved the CDBG grant from about 15 years ago. So we are a done deal, and Logan County now is entitled to 15 acres of property sitting just outside the Town of Meridian.
With a 1 acre swimming pool.
Yes.
Oh, how many per year?
It's got a berm area, 1 acre berm area in there.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to officially notify the board that that long drawn out process has,
Shooting range.
we are done with that.
We have it now.
We actually officially own 15 acres, and at that point, you know, can decide now what
Did
is
we
to be
get
done.
an overhead of that? You said there was some sort of a...
Okay, yeah, so just kind of as a very quick update, the original lawsuit was all done. Let me give quick background. The Town of Meridian was awarded a CDBG grant to put in a lagoon sewer system. CDBG, as you all know, has to be sponsored by the county, so the county did that. The grant fell apart with the city of Meridian. It was not being managed. Things were not being accomplished. It kind of laid dead for quite some time. Well, we are only allowed 2 slots with CDBG for the county or anyone within the county, and this was eating it up. So about 2009, we started trying to get this finished. Let's get it done. It fell apart even worse. There was numerous meetings until the Department of Commerce felt that it was never going to happen and therefore demanded a refund of any funds that they had provided. Those funds that they had provided were what was used to purchase these 15 acres for the lagoons for this project that were held in title by Meridian. Because we were the sponsor and Meridian didn't have any money, we had to cut the check back to the Department of Commerce to reimburse them the money on this grant, and then proceed with suing the Town of Meridian to recoup what we could. In total, the total lawsuit, once it finally got to the point of judgment, I think was just under $70,000. That was to encompass any in-kind labor that had already been done to start digging out the lagoon, and the payments that we had to, or the county had to repay to the Department of Commerce. In the course of all of these years, the Town of Meridian had, we were unable, my office, to forward checks that were payable to them in small amounts, their alcoholic beverage checks, etc., because they didn't have an operating legal treasurer that we could send them to. the amount of those checks was $8,300 was what was laying in our pot, being held because they did not have a legal government in place. On advice of council, we garnished those checks. So the county received $8,300 in cash money that went back into the general fund last year. And then we proceeded with the decision, and it was decided that if we would just get title to the land, we would call the suit settled. And so that was the next step, was to get the title to the land, which we have now obtained.
Okay. Do we have like a Google map outline of where that is at?
I
It's
did not
physically
bring,
located?
I didn't bring it with me. I have asked the assessor's office to map that for me. I will forward it to you. I have it. They went in and mapped it.
I could make a good description of it if you wish.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be nice if we get a legal from the assessor. That would be good. And we
Yeah.
could-
Well, let me real quickly say about that piece of land. And of course, it's right there in Meridian, or right on the edge of Meridian. I don't think it's in the city limits, or maybe it is. They may have a part that I do not know. But that 15 acres is real flat. It's real farmable. And there's been weed on it and such as that. And it's fairly close to Prairie Grove. There's about a 50 feet easement in order to be able to get to it. In any case, that kind of gives you a quick description of it. But, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Item 16, consideration and possible action on a resolution appointing requisitioning officers for various accounts.
I have only one from Meridian Fire Department.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Have a move in a second? No, just hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Item 17, consideration and possible action on appointing receiving officers for various accounts.
I have one for Woodcrest Fire Department.
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Item 18, consideration and possible action on the consent agenda.
Payroll.
Oh, good. Payroll?
No transfers, these are blankets.
So, Troy, did I hear you say that this is the first payroll where the new tax break comes into effect?
Yes, Kelpro, our software provider, got the tax drivers the minute they came out from the IRS, and so we were able to go ahead and put them into place for this payroll run. So the tax changes that have been highly touted are on these paychecks that are going out today.
Interesting. So, Nancy Pelosi said people would die because of this tax deal. And
And it's just crumbs anyway, so.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll take our crumbs all the way to McDonald's.
Well, you know, if I was a multi-zillionaire like Nancy Pelosi living in a $5 million mansion, I might think a difference of $1,200 or $1,300 a year, speaking for myself, would be crumbs. But I'm really kind of choosing to look at it as ribeye, so.
But really think you get a better set of dentures.
She did not look the most pleasant last night.
Yeah.
see, I think it proves the point that my mother used to say, you know, if you keep making those faces, your face is gonna stick like that. I think hers stuff.
However, my public service announcement will be, even though we got this nice little tax reduction, especially if you're in a two-income household, relook and make sure that you don't get a surprise at the end of the year. And if you need to file a new W-4 form and make some adjustments, you know, be responsible. And I say this because guess who gets yelled at? You know, we've already started that because people have started filing taxes for last year, so now our phones are already ringing. You didn't hold out enough tax. Payroll does not determine how much. We do not. That is all based on calculations that keep your information current.
Yes.
Tough works.
I just pray for a wash. Just pray for you.
Right, that. Yeah. Well, the unfortunate problem, like I said, this is my PSA for this morning. Marvin wants to bring it where HR is. What happens and what we see a lot is an employee comes
Somebody
in
got that started.
and files a W-4 form. I can shut up.
No. Go ahead.
And they go, yes, I'm married. Yes, I have me, my wife, and my 2 kids, so I'm gonna claim 4 deductions. Then the wife goes to her job and gets her new job, and she gets a W-4, and she said, oh yeah, I'm married, and there's me and a husband and 2 kids, so I'm gonna claim 4 deductions. And they forget that at the end of the year, when you file a joint tax return, you have now claimed 8 deductions. And may not have paid in enough. And so those are our little, you gotta stay on top of that.
Try another thing is if you're, start here, you're getting a little and then they
Tax
turn
tip.
Yes, yes.
18, 19.
Actually 17, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't think about that.
We send reminders out. We try to remind everyone that they need to, you know, stay on top. Not only that, beneficiary forms. There's another PSA. Make sure you update and keep your beneficiary forms current and filed.
How do you do that so fast?
Have you ever tried to
Have I ever tried what?
read it?
Oh.
Not just scribble it.
Oh, so that's the key.
Got funeral starts at 11. I got to drive to Arnett. So
We'll get you out of here in a little bit.
I'm kidding about the
Are they
Arnett.
one of my vehicles?
You got Rod with handcuffs on. He's already tried that with me.
You're right, I mean, I'd be comfortable.
I want to drive. I already seen y'all driving record.
Man.
Hey, you set it up. I'm just.
I know, I'm bad about that. I just need to keep my mouth shut.
The gear should all be sleeping right now.
Yeah.
I'll set it down. The gear won't be a problem right now.
Especially with it being, what, 90 today?
Yeah, it's a donut shop.
Yeah, we always gotta stop there if we're going out of town.
Turns out.
About to get up again. Almost.
I'm being held up on this side.
Now to know the secret. Uh-huh.
I can saw you. Start setting over back Upside down.
You the man. Love a challenge. Thank you.
Election board claim is just for the chairman. And alcoholic beverage.
On up.
So I'd make the motion we approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Item 19, consideration and possible action on approving claims for payment for January 2018.
Hey David, here's them applications back. Hold on. Make it good,
$150,000, batch 55.
Meridian Fire. Twin Lakes Fire.
Clubs.
Twin Lakes Fire.
What?
Your sheriff.
They didn't sign it.
Oh,
It's a flag for the requisitioning officer.
oh, okay. Nothing I gotta do.
No.
Sheriff.
Sheriff.
What do you do now?
You underspent.
Chairman.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Health Department.
Good thing I can pay notice. Oh.
Health Department. They trying to make up their budget shortfall or what? District 4. District 4.
Just saying. County clerk.
So,
Yep, I had one I forgot to put my plaques on.
Treasurer.
see, we're all human.
Sheriff. That's why a human is a little sheriff.
I'm a human, but humane.
Need a mask?
No,
Are you sure?
I'm positive, yes.
Do we need a minute?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Number 20, any citizen desiring to be heard? Hearing none. Item 21, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners.
Need some rain.
I'll just make a quick comment. Got a letter from the National Guards, and they're going to be doing some F-16 fighter training over District 3. So there's going to be some jets buzzing around. So if you see some fighter jets, that's what it is.
So it's not the Russians invading?
Could be.
Well,
Sheriff's office.
It's not the sheriff's office?
And well, there's collusion in there.
Have you ever tried to stop an F-16 at the donut shop? It just ain't costly.
Harriers you can. Harriers come in.
Blackhawks,
Yeah.
those you can. Okay, any other comments, item 21?
Marvin, you might, real quick,
No.
everybody probably knows, but the governor issued a
Burn.
state burn ban for Logan County
Yes.
yesterday afternoon. so-
Logan County is under a burn ban, and one of the big questions that I got asked right after that, my phone lit up, my son called me, said, can I barbecue? And the answer is yes, but use common sense. Don't dump your coals in the ditch, right? It's,
Yeah, gas is
Yeah,
recommended.
gas is recommended on a hard flat surface.
right.
Might be away from the grass.
Yeah.
No trash.
Not in the middle of the
burn
week.
barrel. No.
No common sense left. Okay, I'll consider item 22.
I'll move we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. adjourned.